Hey, this is the prophet with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on the new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to profit. Hey, hey, you talking? Hey, this is the prophet with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on the new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the prophet.
Hope you guys are all ready for this. We're going live with Nick Black in another 30 minutes of crypto chitter chatter in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Are we here for a bit of chitter chatter, are we? Just a bit of morning chitter chatter. It's Tuesday, and we'll have a cup of tea, maybe some crumpets. Is that what you want? Pew pew for some crumpets, something like that.
I knew you would eat that up. I knew you would eat that up. That is some good stuff.
I saw the FCC regulator waiting for you. Go ahead, say it.
There you go.
Drop the
Eat it
C
up.
bomb. A nice bit of pew pew.
I edited out crap just out of my own.
You're like
I knew you would
cray.
eat that
Hello.
up. There you go. Have fun today. Enjoy the show. I'm gonna go get some breakfast. See you later.
Yeah, and by breakfast you mean you're gonna drink some what is it, Ipecac? Is that what parents used to give their kids, which now would be, you know, like parental abuse? But they don't you dare curse. My mom, her thing, she thought she was so clever. This is how clever my mom was. She was like, okay, you know, they have that soap detergent, like soap, liquid soap. She's like,
Yeah.
okay, you use bad language, you're gonna get a spoonful. I guess it was like a spoonful won't technically kill your children. So I would have a spoonful. I would have to have a spoonful of liquid soap. Every time I cursed, spoonful of soap. Every time I curse, spoonful of soap. Guess what, Mom? Two things. A, I cuss worse than ever. And B, I like the taste of liquid soap. So I guess 2-0, Mom. 2-0. Pew pew, Mom.
They're going through soap by the case at your house. She's like, "Where's all the
God,
soap
I'm like, Mom,
She's
can you
all
give me the
Thanks so much, Mom.
Juniper Summer's Eve version? I like the other one we had yesterday in the pink bottle, but I want to try the purple bottle today. I want my breath to smell like the inside of a bubble bath. Anyway, and bad language. Okay, so welcome to the American Institute for Cryptocurrency Investors live show. And we will talk about things crypto and things macro. We're going to talk, we got some China action. We'll look at the markets. We'll answer your questions, and I'll try to sidestep Brandon's bad language. Maybe if he had had liquid soap, he would have a better vernacular like I do. Should we talk China?
Let's go. We have a big story.
Let's talk some
coming up
China.
in too. This is good. This is good information. I'm going to throw this up here.
Bam.
Bam.
Whoa.
That's it.
Look at what
China
we
can't
go all
stop
out.
it.
Can't stop. Can't never stop. China can't seem to stop Bitcoin mining. You guys remember this? I know we had talked about this, Brandon, that some months ago, China, as it is, seems to be normal policy in China, is to ban stuff. They go nuts. They put a lot of papers out there, a lot of warnings, a lot of red ink. And they say, no more, in this case, and let me backstop this. It wasn't just Bitcoin mining. It was throughout the entire energy sector, anything that was utilizing a lot of coal-based energy. So this initiative wasn't an anti-crypto initiative. Matter of fact, I thought it was one of the dumber things China did, because for a long time, China had the majority of the Bitcoin mining hashing power. And just really quickly, proof of work is how Bitcoin works. That's the consensus mechanism. So all of crypto is make a pile of data, send a pile of data, validate a pile of data. Really, that's all that's happening. Make it, send it, validate it. Well, the make it part, there's some deterministic part of that where you determine what is the chunk of data that we're going to send. Bitcoin works with millions and millions of these little shoebox sized computers that have tons and tons of chips, and they compete with each other to win this little kind of math puzzle. And whoever wins it, that computer gets the right to promote a chunk of data. That chunk of data is the last 10 minutes of transactions, all ordered nice and clean. Well, the way that proof of work and specifically Bitcoin works is you got millions of computers all over the world. Most of those were in China. Why? Because you had really low electricity costs, low manpower costs, low overhead costs. So China made and continues to make a lot of sense if you're running a big farm of mining machines, or you have a bunch of teams working together and they all cooperate, like a co-op, hence the word. So anyway, China, in an attempt to greenify or just to, I don't know, appease other people, they said, no more Bitcoin mining. It's a terrible waste of electricity. We're going to shut it down. Okay, cool. So reportedly the hash rate fell to 0 for 2 months. I mean, meaning there was not one person in all of China mining Bitcoin. Brandon, do you think when they said no more, do you think it really meant no more? Or did it just mean no more if you don't work for the government?
Oh, yeah.
Something to think about.
The hidden either. Okay, so there's so much going on here. There's so much happening behind the scenes, especially in crypto, that isn't even surfacing right now, especially if you're China, especially if you're hiding your internal rigs that just got all that hash power for stopping the little man from mining anywhere else. But yeah, it definitely didn't stop. That's for sure.
They're like, we will take these rigs. We're going to go lock these up in the police station, at the local municipal police station where they can't do any more electrical harm. And then you see like the lights around the police station are going, whoa, whoa, whoa. They're like, wait a minute. I think my miners are being used anyway.
What the?
So last week, okay, look, if you're at Cambridge, you don't have to name something the Cambridge, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's a little, let's be honest, it's a little dickish, right? Cambridge Universities, Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance, CAF. Come on, man, just say our Center for Finance. Don't big it up. Those Cambridge types. They released an update to their heavily cited, and rightfully so. You want to guess what it was called? The Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index. Sibiskeski, if you were to read it all like we're supposed to read it, which in part looks to uncover and share the geographical locational breakdown of Bitcoin miners globally. The previous update that Cambridge had produced showed that China's share of mining went from 34.3%, which is technically enough to pervert the network. Everybody talks about the 51% attack. That's not exactly genuine. If you have a big enough portion, up to a third of a network, you can firewall it, pull it away, and then you essentially create two networks. So there is a lot of game theory that says that 33 to 34% is enough to completely pervert a network. So it's kind of interesting to think that they could have, China basically could have, not that they would have, but they could have completely perverted the Bitcoin network. It's interesting to kind of like think if you're talking to Chinese regulators, why would you want to get rid of that? Wouldn't you want that power, that chokehold? It seems like that would have been, anyway, I'm China. I would have been like, no, the mining stays here. Let's keep it going, guys. And maybe this is a little bit of that. Maybe this is a little bit of like cooler heads prevail. But anyway, in July 2021, following their blanket mining ban, so we're almost a year ago, not quite, 10 months ago, last week's update showed that China's share of mining it had gone after the ban from 34% to 0, which we know it wasn't 0, but ostensibly 0. And by September, so July, ban, no more. August, September, that's like 60 days. You can almost hold your breath that long. It was back to 22.3%. 60 days? You couldn't even keep people mining for 60 days? No, what happened? Well, my guess is, there's obviously something up, right? But my guess is somebody went, hey, we can't, no, we need control of the network. We want control of Bitcoin. We just want the world to think that we're doing the right thing for society and for, we're ESG, we're what is it? Woke signaling. Was China woke signaling? I don't know. Anyway, so clearly something's up. China banned Bitcoin mining in May of 2021, and it showed up in the data. In July, there were virtually no miners operating in China, not a significant amount. None in August either. Then in September, almost all the miners who left came back. Isn't that interesting? So this was like a big thing. Like if you're doing it, you're going to jails. And I'm guessing a Chinese jail is not a good time. Probably second only to like a Russian jail. Or maybe third to a Russian jail, second to like a jail in like some place where you don't even know how the phone numbers work. And you're like, I can't call anybody because I don't even know how the phones work. Like in sub-Saharan Africa or somewhere in Central or South America. Anyway, long story short, you don't want to go to a Chinese jail. Perhaps it's not obvious to say the Bitcoin mining ban clearly did not happen. And it looks maybe like they just told people, hey, just turn it off for a few days, bro. Give us the auspices of doing what's right, and then just turn it back on. Or they turned everyone off and they went and just took over these facilities. And again, this is speculation because Cambridge doesn't have a study on what really happened. They just have numbers. But you think, well, maybe the government agencies went, seized or wrested control of these mining farms and they began operating them. And maybe they're not that good at it. And that's where that 10%, went down. So we went from 34%. Maybe they just suck at managing Bitcoin mining farms because they were like a state tax regulator 7 months ago. And then all of a sudden they were like, you're going to go run a mining farm. You're like, a what?
Yeah, so their efficiency's just down, basically. I mean, what
They're
we
just
saw
bad
here probably was just like what you're saying. It was a transfer of ownership, like eminent domain of the Bitcoin miners, basically, from China. Regardless of how it happened or why it happened, or even if it did happen, shady business.
Yeah, and people think, oh, Bitcoin mining's cute. You like plug your computer in and you got your laptop and you mine some Bitcoin. Yeah, in 2009 and 2010, that's what it was. But now, like the bulk of these mining operations, it's not hobbyists and like dudes that cut like balsa wood stuff and like retired Boy Scout, those Boy Scout leaders, those guys that give really good back rubs. It's not that, right? It's not these dudes. These farms are massive. There's huge infrastructure. Bitcoin has long since graduated from those little hobbyist days. Most of the miners are characterized as commercial operators, which means they're paying triple net leases for warehouse space, depending on whatever fancy purchasing power purchase agreements they have for electricity. The mining operations, they're kind of cool. Just imagine metal shoeboxes, or just imagine like computers. Just on their sides, stacked, just rows and rows and rows of computers, stacked 5-6 high with little bitty lights blinking. And it's just a hum. It's just like, I had a bunch of rigs at my house for a while. Me and my buddy were mining kind of in the early days. We're like, this is cool. We're mining. We're part of the system. And we thought, man, this sucks. We're mining like 2 Bitcoin a month. We're like, what a waste. This is such a waste. But anyway,
hindsight 2020, right? Hindsight.
Yeah, bro. I spent, you want to know one of the dumbest things I ever did? This was a legitimate stupid thing I did. I spent about 30 or 40 Bitcoin on mining rigs from Bitmain. Me and my buddies all got together. We bought mining rigs from Bitmain. They were D3s. They were Dashcoin miners. And this is before I understood that those companies mine against you. They build new technology. They mine internally against you with better rigs. Then when they're outdated and they're moving to newer technology that they've created, they sell you the old stuff as if it's new stuff. Man. Anyway.
Classic.
So going back to the study, the Cambridge study of Cambridge, parentheses, finance. The reason that the data looks the way it looks is because the collection method employed by the KuCoin partnered with Bitcoin mining pools to collect geopolitical and geolocational mining facility data based on IP addresses. Basically, you look at the IP addresses that turned off. You look at the IP addresses that have turned back on. You can do a little math. And it does look like maybe this is due to mismanagement, right? It's no secret that the industry in China, the miners in certain locations use virtual private networks or VPNs, proxy services to hide their IP addresses in order to obfuscate their location, which makes sense if you're trying to like hide, but it doesn't make sense if you have a giant factory that's humming at night and like all the lights are like, brrr, and you're like, no, nothing to see here. We just run a little, like a gas station. You're like, really? Because it looks like a 700,000 square foot mining facility. They're like, nope, gas station. They're like, there's no gas pumps. Gas station. Got it. Okay. So anyway, they could look at these locations, but some of these miners I think they were probably obfuscating their IP addresses because they thought that some task force may come and try to seize, like through the interwebs, try to seize their assets. You know what I mean? Like maybe it wasn't so much, I'm worried about them stealing my mining rig. I'm worried about them stealing my Bitcoin by me being an attack surface, my IP address being the place where they would start their attack. So these are not dumb little hobbyists. These are incredibly clever individuals. So you got the government regulators, which are typically behind the ball, going after the miners, which are like very clever, very astute, very tech savvy individuals. And they're also pretty good men and women and pronouns. Although I don't think in China you're allowed to have a pronoun. I'm pretty sure that will get you locked up. You don't get to just choose your pronoun in China. It's not like Los Angeles where you have to wear a name tag. Do you know that at schools in Los Angeles, you wear a name tag that has your pronouns on the first few days of school? Did you know that?
No.
Does that alarm you?
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, Chinese miners were afraid that the government crackdown was serious, so they lied or spoofed their location data and then moved underground. Although I don't know how you move millions. What does this mean? They didn't move underground. They did what they had to technically do, and then they paid off anybody they had to. And some of the facilities were taken over by Chinese regulators that just tried to learn it on the fly. And I think that shows the inefficiency gap. Anyway, after some time, Chinese miners realized, hey, maybe this isn't so scary. And as long as I keep paying off whatever my local municipal governors are, I'm good. And so they started sharing their data again. Anyway, it's interesting to think about this. So the China ban pretty much has done nothing. And by the way, the hash rate, the computational power of the entire Bitcoin network, you'll hear that hash rate all the time, hash rate. It has grown 40% since the China ban. So people thought, well, that's very odd. But China is back in business mining because they're, these businessmen they're businessmen. They want to make money. They figured out who they have to pay off, which regulators need fat pockets and new Corvettes. I don't know what cool car you drive as a governor in China, but I'm sure there's a fair amount of like fat envelope handing offing in China. And it looks like that's what we got. So we got a combination of all that. But anyway, so the ban of mining Bitcoin, and by the way, Bitcoin itself is not banned in China. They don't like trading, but you're allowed to own it as property. Isn't that interesting? So yeah,
these guys,
Bitcoin mining ban, not really much of nothing.
The amount of Netflix documentaries we could get out of this if we ever were able to uncover all the truth would be we would be entertained for years because of the contradictions, lies, false stories, but also the hidden agendas behind all these little news announcements. Whether they even stop mining or not, they could have just made like a little announcement. We stop mining. Mining's dead. Crypto's dead. They go buy a bunch of crypto somewhere. Oh, crypto's good. They have so much control just because they're China. China. They control.
Hashtag China. Hashtag China.
Hashtag China.
Now, I will say this about China. If you look at China on the aggregate and their decision making, they are very long-term thinkers. Now, at the closer level, there's a lot of turmoil, right? You have a lot of personal turmoil between regulators and their private life, accepting bribes, and in a quasi-communist system. Look, even these communist socialist systems, they all agreed, they follow Marx for the most part. And he even said, you need periods of incredible capitalism to fill the coffers of all the uber wealthy that you're going to then redistribute to everyone else. You can't redistribute if you haven't created a big glut of stuff. So they even understand, I say it like that there is a necessity for capitalism, for some level of capitalism, right? And so you have this period of explosive growth and then you redistribute. I guess I kind of get it. And I'm not completely against, well, that becomes a philosophical argument. But to make it more succinct, the Chinese do think really long-term, long-term, like thousands of years long-term. They have 100-year and 1,000-year plans. And like here in the States, we have like, I'm getting ready for my reelection campaign in 18 months. Like those time horizons are different. It's like trading versus investing. Finite goals, like right now goals versus infinite goals. Trading versus value investing. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. So we'll see if China continues to expand its footprint in the Bitcoin mining space. I think it's very interesting. And there we go. That's all I have to say about that. Should we do some market look at? Should we look at some market?
What's happening in the market right now, Nick? Go ahead.
It's a little quiet. Everything was starting to it was trading flat and started to trade up a little bit over the weekend. We got to like 30,000 yesterday, 30,300 and change. And then it was just very interesting. Finally, and this should be a good thing, by the way, we had an up day in the S&P and NASDAQ, things like that. And Bitcoin did not track those greater markets. And I thought that was important. So we are very close to just peak sadness, peak disdain, disquietude, turmoil, chaos, brawl in the crypto space. People are not happy, and everybody keeps waiting for someone to come in and buy, someone to come in and invest them up, right? When are people going to start buying? Well, when prices get so low that you consider buying digital assets again, that's when other people will start. So that's kind of the tail wagging the dog. Everybody's waiting. But anyway, I think if you're dollar cost averaging, everything looks quite delightful. And also, you should not have any leverage. I met some really cool people over the weekend, and one of the people I was talking to, he said, man, what do you think about this market? I said, well, as long as you don't have leverage. And his eyes kind of like did one of those things. And I was like, wait, you don't have leverage, right? Like after so long of us screaming, don't have leverage in crypto, tell me you didn't be a Michael Saylor. He borrowed against his Bitcoin. He collateralized the loan against his Bitcoin on one of the lending platforms. And I think it was one of the bad ones. Like it was either BlockFi or Celsius, which BlockFi is bad, poorly managed. Celsius may or may not be just directly money laundering. Like there's actually a lot of not so good, very clear, very inarguable information about Celsius and their ties to money laundering organizations. I mean, they're direct ties, like direct Alex, the whole team, direct ties, corporate fiduciaries arrested for money laundering, and also some weird account behavior. Very, very weird, very uncomfortable, very impossible to explain account behavior. So you wouldn't want to be collateralized on an exchange like that because, first of all, don't borrow against your crypto to buy more crypto. That's a Michael Saylor thing, and that's very not good. But you don't do it on an exchange where at any moment regulators could just freeze them out, because then you're in an empty Gok situation where if they lock your exchange down and you've borrowed against your assets to buy more assets and they're all on there, your stuff could be locked up for years. So again, you have to think of what are the follow-on effects of a decision that I make. And I just think in the crypto space, it is just a wise, general, broad-based rule. Do not borrow money against crypto, which is extremely volatile, to buy more crypto, which is extremely volatile. And don't do it to buy the same asset. For instance, you wouldn't go, I'm going to take Bitcoin, which is obviously volatile, and I'm going to borrow against my Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin because you've increased the volatility now exponentially. It's now the volatility of that plus whatever debt service equals plus the asset you bought. So if either one of which is the same asset goes down in value, your whole fund, and you are fund managers, everybody that's in the crypto space, you are your own fund manager, the whole thing gets liquidated very, very quickly. So do not take leverage. If that's the only thing you get out of today, if Tuesday is don't take leverage Tuesday, Brandon, would you take leverage?
Wait, what day is it? Is this don't take leverage Tuesday again already?
It's don't take leverage Tuesday. And you know what? If you do take leverage, guess what you get? 5 seconds of digestion. Yes, don't. Okay, let's do a couple of questions. Let's finish off the day with a few questions, and we will, of course, be back Thursday to do even more of this fun stuff. But for now, there were 2 questions that I think we found that were pretty interesting.
Of course we will.
Let's take a look. Should we take a look?
And I think it should be worth mentioning that these questions happen to be from the new website. Go check it out. Anyway, how Tribhuvan. Oh crap! I think I butchered that. Tribhuvan.
Oh, you definitely butchered it.
I added a whole extra vowel in there unnecessarily.
I think it's Tribhuvan.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from too.
How would you say it? How would you say it, wordsmith?
Tribhuvan. But I think you're right, Tribhuvan. Okay. But anyway,
you made it sound like a Volkswagen ad. You made it sound like a Volkswagen ad.
I'm just trying to sell this guy. I'm trying to sell
the new Volkswagen.
Right?
The Volkswagen Tribhuvan.
Buy Tribhuvan.
7.9 liters.
Hey, how do you buy a Matic? You know Matic.
How do you buy?
Right? You've heard
you
of
mean
it?
Matic?
How do you buy it? How do you buy it?
You can't even pronounce Matic?
How do you buy it? How do you buy Polygon?
Say the word automatic. Say the word automatic, Brandon. Say automatic.
Wait, why would you do that? Why do you take it? It's like no, that's a horrible way to do it. It's Matic.
Oh, really? You think they meant Matic or Matic?
Long,
you think they meant Matic?
Long, Matic.
Automatic.
Just answer the question.
I know what you're talking about. How do you buy Matic? Listen, Matic is available on a lot of platforms. It's available through Coinbase, through Coinbase Pro, through Kraken, through KuCoin. You can get it just about anywhere. The beauty of Matic, this is the token of the Polygon network. Polygon just signed, or Matic, the token. Polygon just signed a deal where they're going to be doing NFTs between Meta and Instagram. So basically, when you see Instagram start launching non-fungible tokens in a variety of things, it won't just be like little JPEGs, but it'll be like coupons and deals and specials and this and that. All of that stuff is going to be running on the back of Matic. So I would go over to Coinbase. As a matter of fact, I think it's in the Coinbase Earn feature where you can get some free Matic for watching some videos and learning about Matic. Anyway, it's not Matic. Brandon needs to go back to education place, which we call school. Anyway, let's tackle the next question.
Education was hard.
Education place.
It is really hard, especially when you don't know what school's called. All right, look here.
Are you going to education place?
Are you able to suggest which crypto platform should I use to trade in crypto? There's a ton of them. The question's real. He doesn't want to get scammed, basically. And where does he put his money?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get a platform that's going to shut down, basically, too.
Sure. I think it makes sense that everyone should have a Coinbase account. With Coinbase, you have Coinbase Pro. They have advanced trading features on Coinbase. So you need a Coinbase account. As a secondary, I like having a Kraken account. Kraken is very safe. Yes, the trading is a little gummy and it's a little stupid and it's kind of counterintuitive. For whatever reason, Kraken feels like they just need to be a little bit weirder than everyone else. I don't know why, but they're incredibly safe. And they are one of the, matter of fact, their cybersecurity unit is probably, there is no one even close. They are like the top dog. So you're probably, your platform risk is very, very tiny. There is always some platform risk that the platform you're on could get nuked. The great thing about Coinbase is, as a publicly traded company, if they got attacked, they got to make everyone whole. Right? They couldn't sustain some kind of public outrage if they just let people lose. So they have because they have entered the public spectrum, because they have equity that you can buy. And remember, again, equity doesn't mean you own anything, right? It's the lowest tier of the capital stack. First call on dividends, last call on liquidation. All right. Anyway, but you own equity. They are a publicly traded company. They have a responsibility at this point to the public, a much greater responsibility than when they were private. So I think Coinbase is quite safe. I think Kraken is quite safe. And then I would have a MetaMask wallet, and I would have some exchange outside the system, so to speak. And I like KuCoin. I used to like Gate, but they're making it very difficult for for Americans to keep accounts. So KuCoin is a great one. And so I think with those accounts, you will be safe. Set up all those accounts. Don't fund them. Go bang around, play, have some fun, and then wait until you feel very comfortable using the exchanges before you put any currency units in there, if that makes sense. And on that note, Brandon, I think we will wrap it up. China, they're mining. Great. It's awesome. Oh, no, real quick. Crypto.com is incredibly scammy. Stay away from Crypto.com. It doesn't matter how many arenas they name. Stay away. And on that note, don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk, strung out on meth grandmother or Brerick wouldn't do. I bid you a pew pew. Pew pew.
Hey, we talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. Try to drive on them high roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Profit to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I'll wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it poppin', we chillin' in the drop. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket, by any means I rock. This is the Profit with Nick Black, it's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to